We think of meditation and those types of self-care strategies, which are very beneficial. However, if we're in an intense time at work and, maybe we're, rushing to file a brief or to prepare for trial or something that is intense, we actually have stress hormones circulating through our body, and we need to discharge those hormones. And that's called completing this stress cycle. It's part of completing the stress cycle.
Welcome back to our Happy Rainmakers video series where point one can make a difference. Today, I'm really glad to be joined by Jessie Brown. She is a lawyer, but she's also a coach for lawyers. She owns Jessie Brown Coaching, and she has a lot to help us with about how we handle stress and burnout. So thank you so much for joining us, Jessie.
Thank you, Jen. I'm so happy to be here.
So we were talking off camera and through our emails. And the one thing that surprised me the most was you said that not all stress is bad. And there's some types of stress that are maybe not as harmful as others. I would love to hear more about that.
Yes, that was a new concept to me too. When I was studying stress and burnout over the past few years. And there's a type of stress called eustress, and it's actually spelled eustress. It's sort of a weird word, and it's considered beneficial stress. And basically, it's short term stress that allows us to rise to meet a challenge and kind of grow and learn and, improve our performance and really focus on meeting some challenge. The key is that it's short term and that we are able to, we can get into this more, but complete the stress cycle, fully recover from that before we have a new demand or stressful situation.
So, how long is short term? I'm guessing not a whole career as a lawyer. That doesn't sound short term. But what if I have a really big trial and it lasts for a few weeks? Does that qualify as short term stress? When does it veer into longer term?
That's a really good question, because you bring up an issue that it impacts so many lawyers, and those busy seasons happen, whether it's a deal closing or you're in trial. We all know what that's like to have a really intense time. And part of it depends on the demands that on your energy outside of work as well. So we try to compartmentalize between work and the rest of our lives, but truly energy demands are energy demands. So if, for example, you're going to trial and it's really intense at work and you're also taking care of sick family members or, raising young children, or you've got other stress, personal stresses going on in your life, that can be more challenging and can turn that stress into what we would think of as chronic stress. However, if during a trial or a deal, during an intense time at work, if you're really able to double down on self-care as well as you can during that time, so prioritizing sleep, prioritizing some movement, there's relaxation, little mini techniques you can implement throughout the day to, and we can get into it, but to complete the stress cycle, discharge those stress hormones, bring your nervous system back to a calm state throughout the day, you can navigate those intense times at work and not go into, chronic stress or burnout mode.
Well, that's actually right up our alley at Happy Rainmakers because we recognize, just like you practice law, so did I. I know how it's very, very busy. And so when we tell people that they have to sleep 10 hours a night or they have to do a 3 hour meditation, I know that they're not going to try. But can you tell us a little bit about incorporating shorter term stress relief throughout the day?
So one thing I'll share that was a new information for me, we think of meditation and those types of self-care strategies, which are very beneficial. However, if we're in an intense time at work and, maybe we're, rushing to file a brief or to prepare for trial or something that is intense, we actually have stress hormones circulating through our body, and we need to discharge those hormones. And that's called completing this stress cycle. It's part of completing the stress cycle. So, what that might look like is for 2 minutes, you could, if you're, this is a little tricky if you're in an office with a lot of people, but if you have some privacy, could put on a song you like. I think of Taylor Swift, Shake It Off, but, and you're just shaking. Maybe you dance or you shake your limbs. So just those little breaks throughout the day, discharge those stress hormones. And then there are little practices like I find that tuning into our senses is very grounding. And lawyers have super active minds. So helping us tune into it could be looking out the window at the sky for 30 seconds and just maybe taking some deep breaths or listening to some music you like, or even closing your eyes and just listening to the sounds in the office or wherever you are. Those are little practices that can help regulate our nervous system, calm our body a little bit, and just help us manage stress throughout the day.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot of really good strategies for lawyers to manage short term stress. And we know that they have a lot of busy times and hopefully a couple of minutes of downtime between those busy times to complete the stress cycle. So I think that sounds attainable to me. I think that everything that you've talked about sounds like the very busy people who are watching this video will be able to actually incorporate into their lives. So I appreciate that very much. We try to be realistic about what they have time for. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.